Hi, it's Chef Rick, and today I'm making bolognese.
Okay, we're going to start this off with a mirepoix, or a holy trinity, or the tricolore. So the three components that should be the base of all beautiful Italian dishes like this. So we are going to use carrot, celery, and white onion. We need to dice these. So the best way to do that is, first of all, peel the carrot. Chop it into slices. Take each of those slices. You can do these slices two at a time, but just for the purpose of this video, I'll just show you how I do them one way, and then we slice the other way. And that's how we end up with those lovely small cubes of carrot and celery. Celery we're just going to top and tail, so we just chop off the very top bits and then just remove the white ends, so we end up with the celery sticks. And again, we want these chopped nice and finely, so the best way I find is to start at the top there, just run your knife down, and again your fingers are nowhere near this, so it just makes the whole process nice and safe as well as nice and easy. Each of those bits of celery sliced down, and there you go, you'll get nice small pieces of celery. And there you go. And now with a white onion, first thing we'll do is just chop off the top, keeping the root completely intact. We're going to chop down through the root, but not removing the root, and that's going to save us from crying, so it's not going to release any of those. By keeping that root intact, it's not going to release any of the gases. We're now going to peel the onion. And now chop down right the way through to the chopping board, but not to the very back of the onion where the root is, so the whole thing stays together nicely. Just take your time with this, and when you get to these last ones, watch how I saw into it first. I do like a little saw and then chop down. If you don't do that, you risk the knife slipping down, going into your finger, and then we slice across with our fingers and hands way out the way from the blade, and then we slice down, and that's going to give us small pieces of onion. Just like that. So there you go, so there's a diced onion. Final bit of prep as well, we're just going to prep some garlic. So how many's there? What, about 6 cloves, which we're just going to peel. So there's the garlic clove. Top and tail them as well, so the tops and bottoms are removed, and then you've got them to slice finely. I used to always mince these and mash these, but I think if you chop them nice and fine, it seems to impart more garlic flavour. Because it's cooked for a long time, they sort of melt, and it's like a bit of a joy when you find one of those in your mouthful, because it's just really beautiful. It's super soft, and it just, I don't know, love garlic. Into a large pan goes some good quality extra virgin olive oil, the carrot, the celery, and the onion. And now we're just going to cook that down. Again, it's probably on a medium heat, low to medium, so it's not going to be aggressively cooking, but you'll slowly start to see that you'll watch how the colours change. Obviously, there's going to be lots of steam coming up. The smells are going to be fantastic. See how the colours there are starting to combine? And it's just, the whole thing's just got softer and softer. Again, after around about, I don't know, maybe half an hour, 25 minutes to half an hour on a low to medium heat. The way you can check it is the carrot is the last one, or the hardest of them all. So if you can squeeze a carrot between your fingers with a bit of force, you don't want it to be mush at this point, it's about ready to go. So that is going to be a beautiful base for our bolognese sauce. I'm scraping all of that to one side because I'm about to add the meat to the pan which we want to brown. So first of all, we've added some good quality steak mince and some pork mince, equal quantities. So I think about 500 grams of each in there. Obviously, the first time you ever make this, you know, when you call it spag bol in England, anyway, you probably just use the beef mince. But by adding that pork mince, you'll see that the texture of this goes so smooth and so soft, and it just changes everything. So I promise you, just, you know, go out of your way to actually get some of that pork mince, and it will. It's a game changer, I assure you, when it comes to a sauce like this. We're going to brown those, which meant that we just want to get the outsides with a bit of colour on them, a little bit of a very, very light crust from the edge of the hot pan. So keeping the veg in place. Just give the meat a bit of a move round so that any of the pink bits or any of the uncooked bits are touching the edge of the pan, or the pan. Put the lid on. You see now how it's just cooking down. By keeping that lid on as well, it keeps loads of heat inside as well, so the whole of it starts to cook more evenly. You can see now that our meat's getting really lovely and brown, so we're going to now combine it with everything. All the quantities for everything, of course, will be down in the description below. And also, don't forget, if you like my videos and you want to see more of them, you can just subscribe. Click subscribe at the bottom. Doesn't cost you anything, but it's amazing for me, so please feel free to do that if you wish. In there go some cans of chopped tomatoes. Use good quality ones. They're not expensive at all. And some tomato puree, or tomato paste, whatever you want to call it. And again, give that a really good mix to combine. In there go the stock pots. If you only get stock cubes where you live, you put those in. But I would use these rich beef stock pots. And using the can as a guide, I would put in 2 cans of water. So basically, it's just normal cold tap water, but use the can as a guide. As a guide, as in like put the water in the can and pour it in there. You know what I mean? Give it a good mix round. That is just standard Italian mixed herbs. There's the chopped garlic. I'll just do that twice. Fine. And give that a really good mix round. Now we can add some red wine. This is a very, very good wine. This was a gift for someone at Christmas that I wasn't allowed to see because they were in lockdown. If you're watching this, you know who you are, and I'll get you another bottle of that soon. So give that a really good mix round. You can see it's very, very thin. Of course, that's not how the sauce is going to end up. We're going to cook this down. And also, something I noticed when I look at it, I know in there's 2 of those rich beef jelly stock pots, but it's not really very dark at this point. It's quite a light red. So you know that as you start to cook it down and as this becomes, you know, the magic sauce that it is in the end, you'll see that it gets darker as well as those stock pots kind of get released in there. In with black pepper at this point. Don't test it at this stage, just to show you are going to need that black pepper and some salt. We are going to test it for seasoning later, but just put those in by default at this point, because this is not your finished article. If you tested this now, you might think it needs loads of stuff, but it doesn't. Some bay leaves, dried bay leaves, 3 dried bay leaves. Don't forget, whenever we put bay leaves in, try and like put whole ones in or big ones, because you want to fish those out at the end and you want to make them easy to find. And if you put in crushed ones, then, well, you've no chance. So you can see we'll let that cook. That was probably for around about 15 minutes. We can start seeing steam come off it now. We can start mixing it round. You can see that it'll just slowly start to get a little bit darker. This is still nowhere near done, but at least we're on our way. And now we put the lid on. So the lid's going to keep the heat in. It's going to really start to cook everything down. The steam's not releasing, so that we're not getting the sauce isn't thickening in any way, but it's just all cooking and becoming absolutely beautiful. You can see there, it's starting to bubble away now. We'll just give that another quick stir. You can see that hob on the left is on, right up underneath my hand, which in a minute I'll soon realise, and shift, turn the heat down. And we're just going to keep mixing this round now. Everything's combining. What we're making here is what's called a ragu. Now in England we call this spaghetti bolognese, but of course, you know, they say, oh, in Italy it's nothing like that. But the actual base sauce, which is this meaty tomatoey sauce, is a ragu, and they will eat it in Bologna, so it's like a bolognese. So consider this just a ragu sauce that we are making. We're actually going to serve it with a linguine at the end instead of spaghetti. But yeah, to all intents and purposes, if you've wanted to make a spaghetti bolognese, this is the sauce that you want. You can see we're just mixing it around. It's getting lovely and thick. By cooking it now without the lid on, the steam's being allowed to evaporate. Look at that. On a super low heat, this has probably had like four hours on a super low heat. So you can see that it's starting to thicken really nicely. All that steam is water leaving the sauce, and water leaving the sauce is only thickening things. So at this point, we're going to start removing the bay leaves. So there's one, two, and that's one I found later, but I'll put it in the video at this point. So look at that. That's a beautiful, thick, beefy, rich, winey. It's making me very, very hungry watching it. Ragu, or bolognese again. So that's it. Amazing, beautiful, ready to go. Tastes even better the next day, believe it or not. So there's some linguine. Yeah, just some linguine that we've cooked very, very simply. Just boiled that. How I always serve this is I would add the ragu to the pasta and give it a good mix round. You see, sometimes, I don't know if it's just an English thing, but sometimes you get served this and people serve you just the pasta in a pile with some of the ragu on the top. And you're like, what are you doing? Why would you do it that way? You know, you've got a big pile of cold pasta with no sauce on it, and then some sauce on the top. It's like asking your diners to mix it themselves on a plate. It's stupid. So mix your ragu with your pasta, unless you like it that way. It's up to you, but I would always say mix it first in the pan. Everything stays nice and hot, and everyone gets, you know, the right amount of sauce in there. You can always go back and add more sauce if you want. So there we go on a plate. Or in a pasta bowl. We're going to shave on some parmesan. Use good quality parmesan as well, you know, why not? It's worth it. You've spent all day cooking this, so you know, why not? Some cracked black pepper, and I just put a couple of splashes of our fancy extra virgin olive oil because it adds a tiny bit of fruitiness. That's it, bolognese. I really hope you enjoy making it. I hope you liked the video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate every viewer. I'll see you on the next one.